Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be part of a series that I had planned to do earlier in the month of December, but I'm just getting started with it. I'm kicking it off with my top 10 Grail pens. I just want to give some explanation about my thought process for the lineup that you're going to see. These are going to be pens that I considered Grail at the time of purchase. You're also going to see maybe one or two pens that I have multiples of, and I'm showcasing my favorite of the bunch. Grail pens is kind of a weird term. It's something that we use in the community as basically that ultimate pen that you're on the hunt for, that seems maybe like it was a little out of reach, but then you acquire it. I think you can find that you can chase your tail a little bit if you're on the hunt for Grail pens, because I feel like, at least in my experience, every time I get one pen, sadly, I start thinking about the next pen. And that's something that I'm really working on for goals in 2025, because I feel like this year I've acquired a ton of pens, more than I could ever need. This hobby is really so much fun for me. Through affiliate credit, I was able to get some really incredible pens this year. So when you see my top 10 lineup, I'm going to start with a pen that I got over 2 years ago that at the time was a Grail pen for me. Some of these pens are still Grail pens, some not so much. There is one pen that I just recently got, a week and a half ago, and it's a pen that I never thought I would have. And that one is truly a Grail for me in every sense of the word. And I would not have been able to get it without my credit at Atlas, through people like you who use my link. So thank you so much. Without further delay, let me turn the camera around. We will look and see what my top 10 Grail pens are. I hope you enjoy this. I will see you soon. Okay, so since I am going in my memory, basically, of what felt like a Grail pen at the time of purchase, I made a few substitutions, and there'll be some explanation for some of the pens in the lineup. But this was my first gold nib. This is a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. I believe you can get this on Amazon for under $100. It is the Autumn Moon, I believe. This pen has been with me for a long time, since I started my fountain pen journey, or shortly after, I would say. This has a medium fine nib. I had a really poor experience with this when I first purchased it, because I put a shimmer ink in here by Ferris Wheel Press, and it just did not work very well. And I really struggled with it for a while. It's a great first 14 karat gold nib for a lot of people, including myself, and I love this pen. So I had to include this, even though I don't really consider it a Grail pen now. This was the only gold nib I had in my collection until my husband went to Japan in December of 2022. My collection started to ramp up rather quickly after that trip. Let me know if this was your first 14 karat gold nib, and if this was the beginning of the madness when it comes to fountain pen collecting. I really enjoy this pen, and I don't plan on having it go anywhere anytime soon. And that is the #1 spot in my Grail pen lineup. Next up in the lineup is, I think, a Grail pen for many people. And this is the Pilot Custom 823. How many people thought that this would be in my lineup? This was purchased by my husband in Japan at Itoya in December of 2022, when he traveled to Japan shortly after I started collecting. This is just one of those pens that is so special. I feel like universally loved by the community. I recently, and I have acquired quite a few pens in the month of December that I haven't reviewed yet or talked about, because I haven't been making a lot of content this month, but I recently got the Demonstrator. And I have Spruce County Post ink in here, which I thought was a festive color for the holiday season. I really love this pen. If you watched the Juicy Broads live pen show, you saw me struggle to get this center piece out of here. I don't love how this black looks, so I'm looking to remove that. I just got this one, so 2 years after getting my first custom 823, which is what I consider this Grail pen. And I think it is for a lot of people. I love the amber. I tend to definitely lean towards neutral, warm colors, earth tones. Every once in a while, this literally just stops writing. And you don't hear that often about this pen, which is why I'm excited that I got the Demonstrator, so I can kind of see the inner workings of it, although this is pretty transparent. But every once in a while, even if I open up the back of the vac filled, it just stops writing for me. So comment below if that's ever happened to you. But this is such a soft, bouncy, beautiful nib. I love the medium. I got the journaler's nib on my demonstrator. I haven't tried the fine nib, but I'm sure it's also wonderful. But I think this is kind of the pen that everybody talks about not needing another pen after this, because it really does so much in terms of giving you a really beautiful writing experience, being very high quality. I have a few vanishing points and decimos that I also love. So yeah, I love this pen. Definitely one of my grails. Next up is a pen that I received as a gift for Mother's Day or anniversary. I had other Leonardos. Jay had bought me a Fiore Grande in blue Hawaii with a steel nib, and I loved it. And it kind of had this look to it. The blue Hawaii is a very similar pattern, but it's blue. And the Fiore has the cigar shape. And I was admiring the sand one. So when the next holiday rolled around, Jay asked which pen I was interested in. I said the sand. So he bought this with a gold nib. And oh my gosh, this was the first time I had a Leonardo with the ebonite feed. It was just next level compared to the steel nib, which I think Leonardo steel nibs are beautiful, but this really felt like luxury to me. And to this day, this pen is one I reach for all the time. It's neutral, so it checks that box for me. It's my aesthetic. It's a beautiful writer. I love ebonite feeds, and Leonardo does them so well. This is a great size. I would say that if I'm writing for super long writing sessions, my hand can get slightly tired with this pen, but it's extremely comfortable. And I mean, I have no problem writing for a couple pages before it gets tired. And typically I go for gold trim, but Jay chose this one and I really love it. I love how it works with the sand. This is just such a gorgeous pen. Definitely a Grail pen. It was very special to me, and one that I value so much for its quality and sentiment, and just love it. Love my Leonardo pens. Next up is a pen that I really thought was going to be the end of the hunt for Grail pens, or desire, which, you know, embarrassingly, as many of us feel, it's hard to ever stop. But this is the Visconti. I've told the story several times. Bought this when my dad was sick. I was looking for a pen. First, I researched what lung cancer was as far as the ribbons go. Like pink is breast cancer, obviously. And I saw that white was the ribbon for lung cancer when my dad was sick. We are of Italian heritage. I love that this is made out of lava, which they say is like indestructible. Just made me think of our family spirit and love for my dad. My dad and I were also both born in July, so we're both Cancers. So I got our crab on here for their little personalization system. I believe I got this at Cult Pens. And I got a pretty good deal, relatively speaking, but it was the most I had ever spent on a pen. I saved for it. I thought long and hard about it. I researched so much in looking for a pen that would honor my dad. And I just felt like this checked every box. And this was a very special pen, is a very special pen to me. I just recently had it worked on by Matthew Chen, and it is now one of my best writers as well. But like many Viscontis, this did not write excellent out of the box. I got a medium nib. It now has a cursive smooth italic. It is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal writer. I have since bought another Visconti Homo Sapien in Lotus Garden, but this one is the one that is so special to me. The Lotus Garden is absolutely beautiful. Do I have it here? Yes, I do. I have it right here so I can show it to you. It's absolutely a wonderful writer. This is not as much my vibe from an aesthetic standpoint. I'm more neutral, but this one has really surprised me. This is not the lava feel. This is a resin, and it's somewhat transparent in certain spots. And I have an olive green ink in here. It also works beautiful with purple ink, but this is such a gorgeous writer. This, right out of the box, was phenomenal. I'm just like not considering my double Grail pens. This was the one that kind of checked that box for me when I got it. This I actually got at a discounted price through the Atlas Experience pen sale. And I was also able to purchase this with credit, which I think is something I need to address when you see some of the future Grail pens that I'm going to share in this video. Some of these Grail pens were purchased with credit, which I would have not necessarily purchased on my own out of pocket. Like, I already had a Visconti. I loved this one. If this wasn't a discounted price through the Experience pen sale, and B, something that was paid for in almost in total with my Atlas credit, I don't know that I would have purchased this. I'm so happy that I did. I love it. This has the hook set, the hook safe closure where this is magnetic, so it's a little bit different. I love both of these pens, but I will say that as you see some of these pens coming up in the lineup, you'll know that I purchased some of them because I had credit. And I think that really, really impacts my decision making, whether or not I'm going to make the move to buy a very expensive pen. When I have credit, thanks to viewers like you who use my links, thank you so much. I'm much more likely to get Grail type pens that I wouldn't normally pay for. But this one I did pay for. This was very special to me and is even more special now that it is such a beautiful writer. And so far, all of these pens that I'm showing here were paid for out of pocket, either by myself or my husband. So that I think is important to share. Okay, next up was also one that I paid for without any credit or perks or anything. And this is the first Pro Gear pen that I purchased. And this is the Yosa Home pen. And if any of you know the story behind this pen, this was designed by Ashley at Yosa Stationery. It's one of my best writers. It's so beautiful. I had a few Pro Gear Slims, and I had never thought it was worth it to pay the extra money to get a Pro Gear until I actually wrote with one. And I can't even remember where it was that I wrote with my first Pro Gear, but size-wise, this is a larger pen than the Pro Gear Slim. I definitely prefer the Pro Gear to the Pro Gear Slim. The difference with how I use these is that usually with the Pro Gear Slim, I will post this when I write, which is really nice because I do like to post pens when I can. I used to be much more attached to posting pens than I am now. Now I pretty much don't post a lot of pens because I tend to write with a lot of larger pens. But this pen, I love that I can post my Pro Gear Slims. So that has been a reason why I've continued to enjoy Pro Gear Slims, where a lot of people kind of graduate from the Pro Gear Slim to the Pro Gear and then they don't go back. I still enjoy my Pro Gear Slims because I can post them. But this was supposed to be one price. And then when they got the quote back from Sailor, it ended up being a more expensive pen than Yosa had anticipated, and then the people who had pre-ordered them, like myself, had anticipated. But this turned out to be such a gorgeous pen. This was also part of the kind of mistake batch where the hardware was the champagne gold and it was supposed to be more this yellow gold, according to what their initial design was. I definitely like the champagne gold more than the yellow gold, so that was a win for me. But the thing that I would have liked better is that this first round of pens that went out from Sailor accidentally came with an all gold toned nib. It's a 21 karat gold nib, but the one that Ashley had designed was two-toned, which is definitely my preference. But I decided to keep this one, and Yosa gave us a 10% cash back, I believe it was, credit for the mistake that was made. Or you could have opted to get the original design and pay the full price. But this was the most expensive Pro Gear. Before any of the accidents happened, just the quote from Sailor was much more than they had anticipated because they used so many colors. The finial is kind of this olivey gray color. The body is like a vanilla color. Then this was another color, the grip section, and then they had the transparent cap with the little flecks of gold in there. So this is really a beautiful pen, and this was a lot of money to spend on a pen, but I have a lot of attachment to Yosa as a company. I love Daisy and Neil, and I just love how they are with their staff, and you really feel like you're part of their community, and I was happy to support their small business with this purchase, and I love it. I have since bought 2 other Pro Gears. My husband got me the Every Rose Has Its Thorn, which I absolutely love, one of my favorite pens, and also I just got the Hachimonjia one, at Stationery Fest in pink, which is absolutely beautiful. So now I have 3 Pro Gears, but I considered this the Grail when I got it. And I don't consider any one of these like my ultimate Grail, except for maybe the last one that you're going to see today, which is really something. However, these are all super special to me, and I realized, I feel very fortunate to have them in my collection. Okay, next up is not the first one that I got, but Scribo is a brand that I love, and Atlas does not carry Scribo, so it is not a pen brand that I have, until very recently, received any discounts or affiliate credit with. My first Scribo that I purchased was the Madalena from Apple Boom. I get most of my Scribos from Apple Boom. Actually, no, I take that back. This was from Van Ness. This was a really big deal when I got it, but I have to say that this was a pattern that I always wanted, this Orifici. I love it so much. It actually costs less money than the Madalena. And I have since gotten the Saragossa, which just came in. This is the one that was a sale that benefited the flood relief in Bologna. This is a new acquisition that I did get from Apple Boom, and I did receive quite a bit of credit through people who used my Apple Boom link. And then in addition to this, I got the Dandy, which is a Scribo feel. The Laudatas don't have any facets. The feels have the facets. So the feels tend to be a little bit more expensive. I actually prefer the comfort level of the Laudata, but I do love the look of the feels. So the Dandy I got almost entirely funded through people who used my link. So thank you so much. Apple Boom always offers 10% off if you use the code FRIEND. I'll leave my link in the description if you want to check out Apple Boom. I also have an affiliate link with Goldspot, who also carries Scribos. And I love the hourglass shape of the Scribos. I think they're real feminine pens. I love them all, but this is my favorite as far as looks go. This is the Orifici, and I purchased this in the Netherlands at the Dutch Pen Show from a gentleman who is actually the photographer for Scribo. He gets sent pens to photograph for Scribo, and then he had so many that I think after holding on to them for a while, he sells them. And I was able to purchase this at the Dutch Pen Show for a good price, and I just happen to think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm sure that Scribo sends their beautiful pens to be photographed because, the resin is different in each one. Like the Saragossa, as beautiful as it is, I thought looked very different from the marketing of this pen. And I love browns and tans. The pen that was shown in a lot of their marketing showed a lot more white, showed a lot more brown and tan. And this is gorgeous, but it's very, very blue to me. I probably would have preferred one that had a little bit more brown in it, but I'm going to do a detailed video showcasing my entire Scribo collection coming up soon. So I want to talk about this because I think this is just stunning. This is a broad flex nib, so super juicy, really fun for titles. And if you have an ink that you enjoy, it just puts so much down on the page. You get some line variation with the flex of it. It's just such a beautiful writer. So this is my favorite Scribo. These two Scribos have medium nibs, and then this one has a cursive italic custom grind on it. So these are probably my favorite writers from Scribo. This one's just so much fun to write with as well. But for everyday writers, I prefer the ones I just showed. But this just is next level writing experience, and I think this resin is gorgeous on the Orifici. So that is beautiful. And this also is very special because I bought it in the Netherlands. Okay, next up is one that is a somewhat recent purchase, and gosh, I love this pen. This checks so many boxes. This is the Aurora 88 in the Volterra. And this was another one that I don't think I would have purchased without Atlas credit because this was really expensive. They actually had an Aurora 88 in like a turquoise color that was almost half price. And because I had Atlas credit, I ended up getting this before they sold out in a medium nib. This is so much more my wheelhouse as far as color goes. I think it's so pretty because it's really neutral, but then you also see some of the little shades of blue, almost looks like iridescent or mother of pearl kind of look. This is just such a great everyday writer, but it's also luxurious and beautiful. I love the feel of this pen. I love that it has an ink window. I love the nib. I love the writing experience. This is a real contender for my top pen of 2024, which that video is probably not going to come out until the new year because the holidays have been so busy. But I figured I would kind of do the start of my top 10 series with this Grail list. Just because it's a Grail doesn't necessarily mean it is my favorite pen, which seems crazy because Grail pens tend to be on the pricier side, at least in my world. But this is one that I probably would not have bought without my Atlas credit. And I'm so glad that I went for this over the discounted one that was turquoise, because this one just brings me so much joy and it's so my aesthetic and I love it. I think I have a brown ink in here right now, maybe writer's desk, I'm not sure. But I love my Italian pens and this is so beautiful. It is a piston fill, which I probably should have been saying about all these. This is a piston fill, as is the Orifici. This is a vac fill, piston fill, vac fill, and then my two sailors are cartridge fill, which is the easiest of all of these. I do love them all, and depending on my mood, I'll reach for certain ones over another. No filling system is a deal breaker for me. I mean, I'm not a big fan of like lever filling systems in a lot of vintage fillers. Sometimes the vac fill can be annoying, but the writing experience makes up for any annoyance. This I got a little bit earlier on, so I don't know why I waited so long to share this with you, but this is my Montblanc 149, and I bought this pre-owned at the Orlando Pen Show for under $500. I want to say it was maybe $450. I bought it from a gentleman. His name is Sid. He is, oh gosh, pen lover med student on Instagram. We actually had Sid on the Juicy Broads Pen Show. He restores Montblancs. And when I met him at the Orlando Pen Show, he had a whole tray of 149s. This is not actually the one I got from Sid because it wasn't filled with ink. I just grabbed this one. This I got secondhand on the Real. This is the medium nib. I got an extra fine nib from Sid. I actually like that one a little bit better. So let me grab that. I love how this medium nib writes, but I love the ebonite feed of the extra fine. So let me just grab that real quick. So this has a split ebonite feed in the back. It's just gorgeous. And this is more vintage than this one. I just left that medium on here just so I wouldn't confuse these two. I don't typically like to keep that tag on it, but I did for this. I love that it was my first Montblanc 149. I still feel like this is a great everyday writer. I still find this very comfortable. I don't own a 146. I love this pen so much. I did buy a second one. One of these I had planned on sending out to have custom Marushi and Raiden put on, but when you see my ultimate Grail pen that goes right here that I haven't talked about at all until today, you'll see why I held off. They actually recently reached out. I waited a year on the wait list to send one of these out, and I just wasn't ready, so I didn't send it out right away. I kind of am getting back in the queue because this other pen came up, and I love it, but Montblanc 149, I feel like this is such a staple for my fountain pen collection. I absolutely love it. I love the two-tone nibs. I mean, this nib is just incredible. Such a beautiful writer. This extra fine nib was also worked on in the Netherlands by Philip. He worked on this and it's really beautiful. Made it a little bit juicier of a writer. And it's funny because I am not an extra fine nib person per se. And when Sid had the full lineup of pens, this was the one I kept coming back to. And because it had the split ebonite feed and it was vintage, I really wanted the ebonite feed. He was telling me he thought this was a really nice one too. I just kept coming back to this one. I wrote with a bunch of them. This is the one I settled on and I love it. And then the one from the Real, I also got using credit. I am a reseller of clothing for my full-time job. And oftentimes if I get luxury fashion that doesn't sell really great for me on platforms like Poshmark or eBay, I will send it to the Real and just take the credit that they have there. So I used my credit at the Real to get this, and it was about the same price as this one. And I do love the way that this medium nib writes. It's absolutely beautiful. I think I have Enzo Ferrari ink in here, which is like a deep purple that you can almost use as like an everyday ink. It's so dark. It's beautiful. I love my 149. This is interesting because this was pretty expensive. I just wanted to put this in here because this was a Christmas gift. Look at this sparkle. This is the Glacier, the Duo pen. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly. This was on Nordstrom website of all places, and it was like 20 or 30% off. And the way that this cap sparkles is just mesmerizing. Since I got this, I have not gone back to this style pen from Montblanc because it's a little back heavy when I post it, and all of the beauty is in this cap. It's just gorgeous. And I hate the fact that when I write with it, I typically write with it like this. And so I just feel like some of the beauty is lost while I'm writing because this is just so gorgeous. This was a little bit of an unexpected gift and I absolutely love it. I love Glacier Blue ink that goes with this. This also has some sentimental value because it was from Jay last Christmas. Just so beautiful. I could obviously sign a few things or have a little fun with it posted, but eventually for a long writing session, I will always remove the back, and that bums me out a little bit. Waterman has a really beautiful Corinne with a metal top. I think it's something in Paris, and it's really beautiful, but I tend to steer away from that as well for the same reason. This has a smaller nib. It's a great everyday writer, but I get a little sad when I have to take this gorgeous cap off. This is a little bit of an honorable mention in the lineup. Next up, and I feel like I could have also chosen my M800 for this, but I decided to go with, my goodness, the Pelican M1000 in Renaissance Brown. Oh, this pen is to die for. This is another pen that I would not have purchased, not at this stage, without credit. So thank you again. This was a purchase from Atlas. As soon as I saw this pen come out, I knew it was for me. I had already purchased the 149 in black, so I did not want to get the M1000 in black. And for whatever reason, I'm not drawn to the traditional green classic Pelican. Maybe eventually I'll get one. I do have a nice Pelican collection. My first Pelican, which really could honestly have a spot in my Grail lineup, is the M800 in the brown black, which I purchased on eBay and thought a really long time about that. Let me share that with you. So this was my first love, but it feels like shortly after that, this came out, and then I had enough credit to get this. And it was pretty pricey. I would not have paid out of pocket for this. This combo was so my aesthetic, the two browns, like I absolutely love them. And I love how this writes. And then recently at an Experienced pen sale, this was $375 on Atlas for an M800 in extra fine. And I did not have an M800 or any gold nib from Pelican in an extra fine, and I had heard great things about them. Again, this was purchased 100% with credit from Atlas. These two pens were made possible because of credit. This I paid for out of pocket, but this I would consider like the ultimate Grail pen for this particular lineup. It's absolutely stunning. This is also a piston fill. I think that Pelicans have the most beautiful piston fills in the business. And this nib is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like this feels more special even than when I'm writing with my 149 because it's so beautiful. The nib is outstanding, as is the 149 nib. This is just so beautiful. I like this piston fill. It's smoother than the 149, I would say, but this does have a plastic feed. My 149 kind of wins in that category because I feel like a pen like this should always have an ebonite feed. But this is absolutely beautiful. I got this in a fine nib. Pelicans tend to write a little broader than average, so where I'm typically a medium nib person, this fine nib is amazing. Okay, just two left. Next up is my Jane Austen Montblanc pen. Oh my gosh. This is quite a Grail. I got this for my 51st birthday. This was the first Montblanc that I bought full retail in store at a boutique. Saw it and just absolutely fell in love with this writer's edition. This also prompted a whole journey of classic reading for me. I read Pride and Prejudice when I got this pen. I did a deep dive into Jane Austen's life, and this pen is just so special. I have a really nice review on this pen and my whole experience purchasing this Jane Austen pen in store, which was wonderful. Shout out to Fred Lee at Montblanc, who is my sales associate, and he was great. He also is my dealer for all Montblanc inks. Anytime there's a new ink, I message him. I purchase it through him. It's always free shipping at Montblanc, and so I get all of my inks through Fred Lee as well. This is a really special pen. I love that this pen incorporates gold and silver tones. Even my rings, I like to mix gold and silver together, so this does that so beautifully. I just love that this kind of prompted this whole reading experience for me this summer. I read Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, which was actually my favorite. I loved Pride and Prejudice. I didn't get through Persuasion, but I plan to revisit Persuasion. I just have such an appreciation for Jane Austen, and this pen is absolutely stunning. I ended up buying some of the Jane Austen inks that were available, and this just really prompted a really fun reading adventure and journey in my life. And it's also just stunning. I love that this is like a grayish bone color. I love this blue. This kind of reminds me of the blue in the Glacier pen as well, which is like dusty, which is more my aesthetic. I just love this pen. Really, really special. And it was a great gift as well. I'm filming the day after Christmas. My family has just arrived just in time for me to talk about my ultimate Grail pen, which was honestly not even on my radar, and it became available at Atlas. I drained all of my credit. I also scoured through the house and found gift cards that I also put towards this pen, and then paid about $300 out of pocket. It's a brand that I never thought I would get. However, I ended up purchasing for myself. I'm going to talk a little bit about the why. The Taccia Miyabi Bon Bori Cherry Blossom Pen. I purchased this just about a week or a week and a half ago. It arrived the Friday or Saturday before Christmas. I just think it's so beautiful. My color this year has been this burgundy color. I'm absolutely in love with it. I've been on the hunt for a pen in this shade that really speaks to me. Also, I reached a milestone the day this arrived for my weight loss. I lost 35 pounds, and I've been wanting to kind of treat myself to something when I hit that goal. I was hoping to hit it for Christmas, and I did. Also, I was running a liquidation sale in my business, and I did over $10,000 in sales and sold over 900 pieces since September, which was also a goal for me. I have a really hard time letting go of things, and my inventory had kind of gotten out of control with my business, and I made a pact with myself that I was going to sell a lot of items at a discounted price. It was transformative for my business. I'm in so much better shape as far as being able to find inventory and just running a leaner, better business. And at the end of the year, I knew that I wanted to get a pen or something to signify. I knew more than likely it was going to be a pen because this is where I like to splurge. So Daisy and Neil had done a video about this 20th anniversary series from Taccia. There were 4 or 5 pens in the series, but they were not available on Atlas. And I wasn't as interested in the Empress because it's really a big pen. And if you can see this next to a 149, it's actually a little bit bigger than a 149. And this is an M1000. So you can see this is like the largest pen in my collection. And I feel like the Empress would just be massive. I would like to add a King of Pen to my collection, but I haven't seen the right one yet. And this actually has the nib that is on the Sailor Pro Gear. I believe these are similar sizes. I'm really just getting to know this pen, but I think these are the same size nib. I just fell in love with this pen. I also love that it's cherry blossom. It's hard not to love the cherry blossoms. Also, all of the other pens in this series were black. And if you look at this closely, I don't know if I open my window, if you can see the light better. There you go. You can see it's that gorgeous burgundy wine color that I've just fallen in love with. And I mean, look at this Raiden. And all of these flowers are done in Raiden. And I love that they're pink and they're beautiful. One of the other things I loved about this is that the clip is also this burgundy color. There were only 2 of these at Atlas. I believe they had one medium fine and they had a medium, and the medium fine was already sold. And there were only 20 of these made. So in the series, I think there are 4 or 5 pens, and there are 20 of each of those pens made. So I got number 15 of 20. I just think this is the most beautiful pen ever, in my collection at least. I have the medium nib, which I would prefer because this is just such a juicy pen that I want to see the ink when I write with this pen. Some people are a little critical that a pen of this size didn't come with the King of Pens nib, but I love the Sailor Pro Gear nib. So this is fantastic for me because what it is, similar to my 149 and my Volterra, is it feels like a Grail pen, but it's also like an everyday writer. Like, I don't consider my Jane Austen an everyday writer. I don't consider my Renaissance Brown M1000 an everyday writer, but I think everything else in this lineup, well, maybe not the nib that's on my Scribo because that's a chunky nib, but everything else I feel like I could write on a daily basis with. And I would say the same about this, yet it's absolutely stunning to look at. I will definitely do a standalone video for this pen, but I figured it had to be introduced in this Grail lineup. I recently talked about how when I'm looking at pens recently, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no. Sometimes I think about that when I'm thinking about spending. If I'm not super excited about it, then I need to let it go. And there are a lot of beautiful pens. And if you do this hobby long enough, you're going to see so many. But I don't have to own every single beautiful pen. I had to own this one. When I saw this and it was this burgundy color, 1 of 20, I had a significant amount of money that I was able to put down. I would have never purchased this out of pocket. And I don't think it would have been around long enough for me to purchase it, even if I could have. This is the Grail of all Grails in my collection, at least. And I think it's so beautiful. I think this pen is symbolic of female strength and the celebration of women, which I also just really loved. So this is just an absolutely stunning pen, and I thought it deserved its place in my lineup. I will definitely be doing a full review on this pen in depth in the future. I've also been thinking about doing a complete Montblanc collection. I recently did my entire Sailor pen collection. I've also done a Leonardo collection video. But let me know if there's anything specific that you'd like to see in the future as far as collection videos go. I will be doing more top 10 videos. I had wanted to do them the last 10 days of December, and life has just been busy. I have family home. I'm so grateful to be surrounded by family for the holidays, and I just decided that these videos could wait. I did want to get my Grail pen video out before the new year, so I did film this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos about fountain pens from me. If there's anything you'd like to see more in depth, let me know. And also, if there are any other top 10 videos you'd like to see, I think they're just going to get bumped to the beginning of the year. I would like to share with you just all new pens that I bought in 2024. I would love to share with you my favorite inks of the year. I'm probably going to do a full collection video in January, and then I'm going to have a big pen sale, which I've talked about before. So be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Let me know what your favorite pen is in the lineup. Let me know what your Grail pen is. If you've gotten your Grail pen, if you are content with what you have. I love hearing where people stand on their collection. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back soon with another video.